No.
Was it carbon-based?
I don't know.
Did it communicate with you?
It reacted to me.
You really have no idea what it was.
What's up, guys? We are live with Pause for Popcorn. This is going to be our review of Annihilation. Pause for Popcorn is a sporadic, semi-monthly podcast that we do whenever we feel like it. We basically just talk about movies, TV shows, whatever we feel like. You can catch us live on the Twitch channel, official SDGC, and our shows also get archived on the SDGC YouTube channel, and you can catch us on SoundCloud. So tonight I've got Matthew Finneman and aka Finn and Justin going to be joining me tonight. How are you guys doing?
Good. Doing well. Thank you for having me on.
So before we get into the movie, we're doing things a little bit differently this week. I figured I'd give kind of a general... we want to appeal to people that have seen the movie, so we'll do like a spoiler cast, but... you know, it'd also be nice to be able to give our impressions to those who maybe haven't seen it, haven't heard of it, or are thinking about checking it out. So Annihilation is what I guess you would describe as a sci-fi / horror movie. It's got elements of a few different genres. It's based on a book by the same name by Jeff Vandermeer. So it's basically about, I think, 4 or 5 women who end up entering something known as Area X. It's basically... a mysterious zone that's popped up on Earth. There's been some people going missing there. Without giving too much away to spoil the movie, basically they just go in to see what went wrong and do some research. Mostly a team of scientists, biologists, researchers, stuff like that. And some really crazy shit happens. Before we get into the spoilery stuff, maybe I just wanted to go through everyone, get your kind of spoiler-free impressions, just a couple minutes, your general thoughts on the movie. Finn, why don't you go first, since you're kind of the guest here?
Okay. Well, first of all, I kind of went in on this movie completely blank. I knew nothing about it. I hadn't even seen a trailer. I knew Natalie Portman was in it because she was on SNL. And I had read the story about how this movie... I think it's Universal, had no faith in it, and so it was going to have a very limited theatrical run. And then a bunch of reviews started popping up, and they were like, this was amazing. I was like, you know what? Cool, I will support this. And so Saki and I went to see it, and man, we just really enjoyed it. It was, I think it's so rare for me to go into a movie knowing nothing about it, that it was so refreshing to have no idea what was in store for me. Visually incredibly inventive. I love the cast. As someone who gets scared easily by jump scares, it was just the right amount. And that ending just leaves you like thinking. It's a deep movie, and you have to sit and like ruminate with it for a bit. But all in all, I really enjoyed my time with it, and that is all I'll say before I accidentally get into spoilers.
Justin?
Yeah, I loved it. Like I've been a big fan of Alex Garland's for a while, so I was always on board for, you know, whatever he was doing next. And I always kind of go out of my way to support like these kind of independent sci-fi movies and stuff whenever I get the chance. So I was really pumped going into it, but yeah, I wasn't expecting the way the movie panned out to be. Like the trailers like really kind of tried to make it seem like it was almost an action movie or something, and it really is not. It is a very heady, slow burn sci-fi movie. But I can't really say too much without going into actual details.
So you guys
about it,
both really liked it.
I think, the thing that best sums it up is usually when I go to see a movie, it's usually just me and my roommate that stick around through the credits. We just kind of started doing that for a while, not just for movies with post-credit stuff, but we just, you know, reflect for a few minutes when we go through it. And usually we're the only ones left. And this was like a rare movie where like the audience was dead silent and everybody just kind of sat there all the way through the credits. And I've only seen that happen once before, and that was when I saw Children of Men.
I was going to say that can go two ways. It either means the movie was a thinker or it was a stinker.
Everybody was just kind of like in like stunned silence.
Yeah.
Like credits. It was really cool because like a lot of times movies like this, I feel sometimes like the crowds can be really bad for them, and it was just a really really cool moment where it's like, oh, everybody in here loved it. So yeah, that's all I'll say for now before we get in deep to it.
Yeah, I really like.
Can I just say one thing real
sure.
quick? And this has nothing to do with the movie. It's more just you, Justin. Love your Baby Driver and Logan posters. I just
those are actually my roommates. But I have
fine.
I have both of those posters. This one I got for him last year because we went to the IMAX premiere of Logan, and I got one of the posters and he did not, and I felt bad. So I found a big print of it, and he and gave that to him. So that was what I got for him, and then I also have a super-sized Baby Driver poster that I don't know what to do with. Like, it's like a full-size theater one, so we just went with having the regular one here in the living room.
Awesome.
Yeah, nothing wrong with those. Yeah, I love the movie. You know what? I'm gonna say I really liked it. I think I still need to sit on it for a while before I can say I loved it. I didn't know. I went in completely blind. I hadn't even seen a trailer. I hadn't seen a commercial. I didn't know it was even based on a book until probably a week before. I didn't even hear about the movie until people started talking about it, right when reviews started coming out. So, obviously it didn't get a big marketing push, but I thought it was very good. I will admit, it didn't have me during the first half of the movie. I'm not sure still exactly what it was. I don't want to say that there's anything wrong with the pacing. I'm fine with the slow burn. I just felt like I wasn't totally hooked or sold on it until some of the more interesting stuff it did in the later half. But yeah, it was definitely unlike anything I've seen, at least, and if not in a long time, if ever. It was a weird, like you mentioned, Justin, that the trailer for it kind of sold as an action movie, and I was thinking to myself, I don't even know how they would sell this in a trailer because I don't think you can't fit it into any real mold. If you show it as it is, it would look like a mess in the trailer.
Yeah, the trailers, thankfully they didn't really give much away. Mm-hmm. They show some of the visual stuff, but out of context it doesn't really quite resonate as much as it does in the movie. But it just made sure it showed every shot of one of them holding a gun that they could possibly fit in.
Yeah.
Or the one scene with Natalie Portman actually using said gun.
Yeah, just when she's the one time she fires it in the whole movie.
Yeah, the guns do not get fired a lot in this movie.
No, they just they have them because it makes sense because they're going to a dangerous area and they don't know what to expect, and they're with a military group.
Yeah.
So but the second half of the movie I loved. It did some interesting, unexpected things, especially for a movie that obviously has not a huge budget but a decent sized budget. You just don't see films like this a lot. It goes very art house at the end.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
The interpretive dance stuff, which I won't spoil, was really cool actually to see. So we can't really talk too much further without going into spoilers. So all three of us really liked it. Obviously, if you guys want to listen to our opinions, you should at least check it out, give it a chance. It's out in theaters for a short amount of time, probably in North America, and I believe it's hitting Netflix internationally very, very soon.
I think it's this week. I think it's the
Tomorrow?
17th. I think it's the end of the week. I think it's Friday or something. I think it hits internationally on Netflix.
Yeah.
If you're not in the U.S. or Canada, and you it should be real easy to get to check this movie out, and I highly recommend it, especially if it's just on Netflix and just want to throw it on.
So we're gonna do our structure a little bit differently. I think how we're going to roll with Pause for Popcorn moving forward is, most movie reviews, they just talk about the film kind of very general, what was good, what was bad. I don't want to do that. We're going to break it into three categories. So we're going to have our premise, our aesthetic, and execution. And what this does is this lets us, not just for Annihilation, but other movies, shows, stuff like that moving forward, is we can recognize the things that the movies do well. Because there's movies that maybe... just not everything comes together, but it doesn't mean that they don't have redeeming qualities. So, with that said, let's talk about the premise of this film, what it's about, the ideas it's got, the themes going on. So obviously, first off, the setting is basically all takes place in, would you call it a forest or a jungle?
Well, it's in Florida, so it's a marsh.
Boom.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a swampland area.
So I guess this is home, close to home for you guys. But
Do you want to get technical? Yeah, marshland.
Like Florida for the end of the world.
It's got like the way it presents itself. I found it really interesting how it doesn't. I'm not explaining myself very well. Maybe one of you guys can start off. What do you think? Like the setting of the movie.
Justin?
Oh, well, yeah, the setting was really cool. Like, I loved how they really kind of took the... Oh, sorry. Are we clear to go ahead with spoilery stuff at this point?
Okay. Just so everyone's clear,
all right.
We're moving into
so
spoiler territory
after that,
now.
like, after just the kind of general impressions, we're good. All right. I thought it was, really neat how they kind of took kind of like that, overgrown post-apocalyptic-esque, aesthetic that we've seen in a lot of things, but mixed that into the wildlife that was there and stuff, so you kind of get like the sense of like nature reclaiming not only like the human structures that were there, but also the wildlife and stuff too, which is really cool. I hate
to make crude video game comparisons. But I really did get some Last of Us vibes from the mix of nature and humanity.
Alex Garland actually did say that Last of Us was a big influence on him, for this movie. He's actually he worked at Ninja Theory for a while, and he's a big video game fan. Yeah, he worked on Enslaved. I think a little did some of the art design stuff for like DMC or something.
He's actually a credited writer on Enslaved, which I didn't know until I started digging into this movie. So that's cool. But yeah, like the part where the guy is just like plastered up, kind of the guy who gets split in half, plastered up. I was like, man, this is like.
That was kind of the point where the movie went from being like, I was like on board and enjoying it, but that was kind of the point where I'm like, okay, this movie is going places. When you see this guy that clearly like exploded, that was just like all like flowers and mushrooms all the way up a wall. Like he was in the pool, right?
Yeah.
Like deep into the pool, yeah. Like I thought that stuff was great, and like I loved the whole rainbow shimmer within the actual area of the shimmer. Anytime the light catches, there's that prismatic effect on everything, and it really kind of sold the whole like dreamlike nature of that area, and it also reminded me a bit of the like slow-mo stuff in Dread from a few years back, which actually it was just recently revealed that Alex Garland actually directed that, not the guy that is credited as the director for it. So that was kind of an interesting thing, because like that was what I thought of when I saw it, and then I saw the article. It's like, oh, Alex Garland actually directed Dread. It's like, that makes sense.
One thing that I was looking for, I don't know if you guys caught. I know that Oscar Isaac's character mentions God at one point. Seemed like he was religious.
There was a couple like oblique references to him being religious. And
I was kind of looking to see, like, was there any religious subtext in the movie? If there was, I didn't feel like it was very obvious. I was kind of looking for it, and I didn't really get it. That's not like a criticism, obviously. Did you guys pick anything up? Because a lot of times we get extraterrestrial, alien films. There is some sort of commentary there, but I didn't really get that.
I didn't either, unless you want to count the creature at the end as like a blank slate template Adam type creature. But overall, I did not. I think it was just Kane's character was religious, and not that there was religious overtones or undertones.
I think that was just like a general character trait motivation thing. I didn't feel it play in heavily into the movie at all.
Maybe just another, like line kind of. Natalie Portman's very scientific, and if he's religious, that might be again just their relationship's obviously a little rocky. That could just be another element of that.
Yeah.
Talking about sorry, go ahead.
It could have been just a very hostile Garden of Eden. that we're just starting over.
Oh, that's true.
Make her upset.
There is elements of creation in there, for sure.
I love the setting just because the merging of flora and fauna and how it was really just showing this...
The deer?
I love the deer. The deer is such an underrated quick shot of the movie, seeing how the deer merged with the flora, but I like seeing the trajectory evolution took within the biosphere and how everything got shifted just a little bit. It was partly responsible for the incredible visuals and the inventiveness of it, but also the way it played with the concept of evolution, because within the biosphere, everything started merging with everything around it. And between like the people and the animals and the plants and the fungi, it just was such a unique setting that I've never seen before in a movie.
Oh, sorry, I just blanked out on what I was going to say. I loved like how it kind of combined like some of these like really aesthetically beautiful images and also made them really haunting. Like when they come through that one like the set of trees and they come up on that whole that town and all the people are the branches and flowers and leaves.
That was
like
really cool.
Oh, it's such a creepy but also gorgeous like shot in that town.
Now, were we supposed to believe that they were all actually people? Because we thought that they were evacuated, and that was just the residual effects of the plants growing.
But then Gina Rodrigues' character dies
Right.
and becomes them.
Well,
Not Gina.
yeah.
But yeah,
It was
I know
was that Tessa Thomas's character?
yeah.
Was it?
Tessa Thompson's character.
Yeah, I was going to ask about... Well, maybe we'll... I guess we could talk about that now. Yeah, so she walks away, but I didn't quite see... Like, was it clear that she became one of them, or I thought she just kind of vanished?
It's ambiguous. She could have become one of them or vanished. Like that's why. Like I think she said she doesn't know exactly what happened to her at the beginning.
Because
when
I
she's
think
getting arrested.
initially they had a conversation. They said that the plants had taken the form of people.
Right.
Like the roots. They actually explicitly said, like, these are plants. They're not people. But they've kind of taken some of our DNA, so their branches have formed our limbs and our... they've taken on the human structure, but they're still biologically a plant.
But then they cast doubt into that when
She's sprouting stuff from the
Yeah,
cut.
okay.
which I thought was, again, a gorgeous visual when you see the roots inside of her emerging from her scars.
One thing I want to talk about, I guess we're jumping to the end of the movie if you guys have some other ideas or something you wanted to bring up, but I want to talk a bit about the alien, if that's what we're going to call it. An alien? The Shimmer?
I think that's fair.
The alien, I think, is the most fair thing to call it. Like,
Okay.
It's the easiest thing.
I was unclear on a couple of things. I don't know if it's meant to be this ambiguous. So at the end, she climbs into the hole and finds Jennifer Jason Leigh's character there, Ventress. At that point, is that the alien just in her form? Because then it kind of forms into that light and then clones Natalie Portman.
I think that was the alien.
Okay.
So yeah,
Because you can't see her
Because like
face at
when
first.
she's like talking and stuff first, like her mouth is like all like
It's like
there's
Matrix
no
style,
mouth.
like
Yeah. It's like grown over. So I thought that was the alien, like just like in the process of taking that form.
Okay.
And then when Natalie Portman's blood dropped into it, that's when it took her form.
Okay. So this is something I need your guys' help with. I was sitting in the theater, like I loved the scene where it's mimicking her movements, trying to figure her out. What's your take on this? Is it hostile at this point? It doesn't seem hostile. It seems curious to me, but I want to hear what you guys think. What's going on in that scene?
That I loved because like it really didn't seem like it seems like it's attacking her at first. Then you kind of realize what's going on. It's just mirroring her. Like it really is it just seems curious in a way that also doesn't quite match up with like how a human would be curious about it. Like it's curious in an alien manner, which I thought was really kind of neat. And I looked it up, and the actress that was wearing the suit for it was the one that played the member of the student in her class earlier in the movie that she was talking to coming down the stairs.
Oh, okay.
After that first scene, and she's also the like dancing maid robot from Ex Machina.
That makes sense.
So, so that was that was kind of a cool thing. But yeah, like the alien, like it was fascinating because it's bizarre, and like you usually don't get to see like in modern movies like aliens being that strange.
Finn?
It's the one thing. It's so hard to just break it down because it is so ambiguous. It's almost left up to the person. But I took it as it had just gotten its DNA, and it was almost as if it was an infant, and all it can do is mirror, and it's trying to learn from Natalie Portman. I don't think it was hostile. I don't, because the only thing it did. The most hostile thing was when it was pressing Natalie Portman up against the wall, but that was because Natalie Portman ran forward and stopped at the door to open it, and it crashed into her. It wasn't attacking her, it was just kind of pressing. So I think I saw someone mention it as that she was being attacked by her own humanity. Which I was like, ooh, that's a heady thought that I hadn't even considered. I don't know.
And, you know, maybe yeah, so the way I took it was, I agree, it's not hostile, and they say in the movie they're not trying to destroy, they're trying to create. Like, that's what it wants to do. It's creating something new. And I think, you know, becoming, like, in touch with these humans, that when it presses up against her, maybe that's the first time it's experiencing touch or contact or, you know, like, it's just coming to terms with all these different things, you know, like sight, hearing. It's taking human form. It's not just declared whether or not it has our senses as well, but I think it's certainly possible that it does. You know, especially we'll get into the ending in a bit, but
I was going to.
Well, and the other thing too that I never thought about is if whatever his name was one of those figures. Was there some kind of collective consciousness between Natalie Portman's humanoid and his humanoid? Or was it really independent and it was really an infant? Or was it just trying to figure out this one person?
I took that as they were independent because the one that took over Oscar Isaac's character got out, and this one that took Portman's DNA was completely blank. So I obviously there's more than one of these creatures, but it kind of implants or imprints on whoever they come across, and that guides them because it left and searched out Natalie Portman's character only because Oscar Isaac's last words were "find Lena," and so that kind of became its mission. When it showed up at the beginning, it didn't know why it was there. It didn't even know who she was. He just was like, "I had to come."
And it sounded like it had like visions of his memories or something, because he's like, "Oh, I recognized this door, and I went through it, and I was here."
Exactly.
Yeah, again, I just need to. I've taken so much time to process it. I saw it 2 days ago, and it's still, it is a tough thing to break down definitively, right? Because there's so many different ways that you can interpret it. But so I guess if we're going to talk about the ending, then you know, Oscar Isaac's character, that was clearly one of the, if we call them the aliens, the shimmer in Natalie Portman's eyes, which was basically like the final shot. You know, I guess that is meant to imply that she still has some sort of mutation. What my friend thought, which I'm not sold on, but is an interesting thing to consider, is that it was actually another one of the aliens that got out, and since it's the one telling the story, it's kind of like could be an unreliable narrator.
I don't think it is, because we pretty definitively see her kill it. Like the one that was trying to beat her with the the thermite grenade. Yeah. I assumed it was just like general transference, especially because that thing was pressing right up against her, and she was in such close proximity to it for a while. I just assumed it was kind of some of the because everything's DNA was mixing within the shimmer, and she was in such close proximity to it. I think it was just her kind of absorbing and
Right.
becoming something else based off of that.
You'd already known she was mutating when she took the blood sample and put it under
Right.
the microscope.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Okay.
was
So I think it is Natalie Portman, but she's the first person to actually get out that was human.
Mhm.
And so I think she took with her the shimmer that was inside of her, because as we know, everyone that walked in got mutated in different ways. Tessa's character got the plants inside of her, and who knows what happens to Natalie Portman, but I think she's still Natalie Portman's character, but not fully. She's been mutated.
But then is that
She's
why
something new. Like, it's...
like recognize that shimmer in her? Because that was his whole thing. He's like, you're not human. It's like when she actually met up with him afterwards, I think that's why people think that she could be the other humanoid and not actually Natalie Portman.
Well, I guess. Well, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about in terms of like the big ideas, the big plot points before we move on to the aesthetic?
I
We
don't.
can circle back. It's fine if something comes up. It's not a big deal.
I like the narrative framing device they used, with it being like a post-interview.
Yeah, that was cool.
I just always dig that. But no, I'm good.
I'm good.
So we talked a bit about the visuals because they're tied so closely in with the setting. Did you guys want to elaborate a little bit more? I agree with what Justin said. Like the illusion of it, I guess not illusion. Like the appearance of it is very dreamlike. It's got a very soft glow to it. I notice a lot of shots. It seems like the sun or the moon is always very low on the horizon, and it creates a really nice effect. It always feels like it's either dawn or dusk, and it's just like it does feel otherworldly, even though it takes place in Florida. I just loved the visual design, especially some of the animals, some of the creatures. The lighthouse at the ending. It was almost very H.R. Giger-esque in some of the design in the roots and stuff that take over the lighthouse, and then the whatever you want to call it, the lair that it's kind of formed there. But like sound, music, the score was really good.
The music was excellent.
I thought the movie was very quiet. I thought it was just my theater, but I realized it's because they needed such a contrast, because at the end the walls were shaking.
Yeah.
When it reaches that crescendo.
It just builds and explodes at the end.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, cut loose, guys. Feel free. What were your thoughts?
I mean, we covered a lot of
Yeah.
what I was going to say on this because it's so closely related to the last topic.
I mean, there's not much more I can say that he didn't say. Just one of the coolest persistent effects was that once they entered the shimmer, it was always kind of there. You never noticed it. It never took your focus away from what was happening on screen, but every shot had, like, I guess the best way to put it would be like a filter. It was like if the whole movie had a Snapchat filter that was shimmer.
Yeah, that prismatic effect over everything was really cool.
Which I thought was just really well done.
Here's something we can talk about: the gore.
Oh,
I'm pretty desensitized. I play, a lot of games. I watch Game of Thrones, Walking Dead. I've seen people's intestines get ripped out by zombies, but some of this stuff was like,
The scene with the bear was...
Yes.
The bear poor thing, that was when I turned to him. I'm like, this is R-rated, isn't it?
Because we hadn't actually noticed if it was PG-13 or R until that went over. They're like, that's a hard R.
There it is, yeah.
That and the scene from the video camera.
Oh, God.
And I think the reason those moments were so effective was because none of the rest of the movie had moments like that.
Yeah.
And so when they hit you, they were so out of place that they were jarring.
Yeah.
Which I think is how it's supposed to be. A lot of movies, especially horror movies now, the saying less is more. But it's true that, not bombarding the viewer with that constantly when you get those moments where it just escalates like that, whether it's them cutting into the guy or the one in the house. I guess there's two parts with the bear, right? There's the one where they find her in the forest with her vocal cords ripped out, but the house one to me was like...
The house is what I was talking about, when they actually are like face-to-face with that thing.
Yeah, but the makeup was really good.
For most people that see this movie, I think that bear scene in the house will be the moment that sticks with people the most.
Because it had her scream.
Yeah,
that's why.
That's the big
Yeah.
watercolor moment.
When you see it like in between them tied to the chair, like mimicking the sound, the scream of their friend, like
Yes.
like that scene is just.
I can still hear it.
Like,
it's horrible.
Yeah, that scene was so good.
It wasn't Last of Us, but there was another game that had like a mutated bear in it that was.
It was in the Days Gone E3 demo last year. There was a zombie bear.
That was it. Okay, I knew that it was coming in something, but I couldn't remember what.
Yeah, I think it's Days Gone that's doing like zombie animals.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess I touched on a lot of the aesthetic parts, I guess, in the setting and the premise and stuff like that. So the last kind of topic I want to touch on is execution, which is what we'll call pacing, direction, performances. And Justin, maybe you can go first. What do you think overall the direction of the movie and the performances from the actresses?
Yeah, I thought all that stuff was great. I really liked the pacing. I kind of had a different response to it to you for the first half. Although I did know a little bit about the movie going in, but like the first half, I felt like it almost felt kind of like just a standard, almost kind of like a CSI-esque show almost, with them with trying to gather information, and there was a lot of stuff about Natalie Portman's character and Oscar Isaac's character, like on a personal level, like their relationship, and stuff before it really turned up the the alien stuff.
I think that stuff is what didn't work for me, but I can't explain why. It was every time there was a flashback, I kind of got not bored, but I wasn't sold on the relationship. I didn't feel a connection with them.
See, I was actually like the scenes where they're kind of together. Like I thought those scenes were like surprisingly like naturalistic looking. Like the one point where he's like putting on his boots because he got called a day early, and she's just like, "Why aren't you here?" and like taps on the bed and stuff. There was a lot of like really kind of real moments between the two of them when they had the flashbacks that I really liked. And like I thought all of the characters were pretty likable except for the one that was in charge of the whole Area X operation, but I think she was kind of not supposed to. Yeah, Ventress. She wasn't really supposed to be likable. Like, she nailed the performance that she was supposed to get.
That was another weird one, whereas, especially because she's in the movie so much at the beginning. Maybe that was, and I don't want to say it's a bad performance or bad, like.
Yeah, no, it was. She's not a likable character, but it was a good performance as.
Just got such a monotone delivery, like she just does not give a shit about anything.
Well, I haven't seen many people like kind of pull that kind of, because I've met people like that, and I haven't really seen like that pulled off in a movie before. So like I thought that was kind of cool because that was impressive in its own right.
Finn, how about you?
You want to tag this together?
Either
one.
Of you, yeah.
No, I think the weakest part was the flashbacks to try and sell us on the fact her infidelity and that aspect of the relationship, to try and shake up the fact that it was supposed to be a great love, and then we find the cracks in her facade. I mean, I get it. It helped push her character beyond a 2D scientist, I want to save my husband type of scenario. But
I thought it was more important to distinguish between them and the Shimmer. Like, we got to see their human relationship, and then we get to see it deteriorate, why they each go in. He left because the relationship was ending, and then he comes back from the Shimmer, she comes back from the Shimmer together. And that you almost get a contrast where they become a team again.
So he left because it was, the relationship was crumbling. She left to actually save their relationship, or to save him.
Right, and then they both come out of the Shimmer unsure of what the hell's actually happened. We have Shimmer Kane and we have half Shimmer Portman.
And again, it's not clear, even though it's Shimmer Kane, that the alien, he's obviously got some of his memories, perhaps some of his emotions. The amount of connection he has to her, obviously, goes in for the hug at the end. That's.
So I think it's a better contrast to past them and current them as opposed to the nature of their relationship.
Well, look at you being deeper than I am.
I like that take on it a lot,
Speaking
actually.
of the actual execution, I thought the pacing of the movie was really well done, in the sense that it built itself up so that when consequences happened, because you know at the beginning when she's mentioning what happened to the members of the team that something's going to happen, but it's done in such a slow burn that you almost forgot that these people are not going to make it. And so when the story beats actually happened, I thought it was very well paced. For me personally, pacing in a movie means, do I ever check my watch and go, how long is this movie? If I am absorbed in the film and I don't even notice how long it is, then to me that's good. And that's what Annihilation provided.
And I think the one thing that I really liked about this movie is that Natalie Portman is obviously the main character in this, but there were no real minor characters, maybe except for the guy interviewing her. But that was just the narrative mechanism.
And that was Benedict Wong.
Every single actress in there that's in the Shimmer with her, you are emotionally invested, and it's a well-rounded character. It's just not some kind of, oh, we're part of Natalie Portman's crew and we're going to go hunting in the Shimmer. You actually had very brief backstory as to why they all went into the Shimmer, which made them relatable and kind of well-rounded.
Yeah, like I loved how they gave the backstories of just like sometimes it was only like one or two lines that came up about each of those characters, but like you could see how that influenced all their decisions, even within the Shimmer and everything. So like, I love that aspect of it.
Even when you realize Gina Rodrigues' character was in love with the one that died first.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you guys said. The direction was outstanding, and the slow build. My complaints with the first half aside, again, I think that's just personal. I don't want anyone to think that's necessarily a criticism of the movie, but it's that ending is just something that's going to stick with me for a long time. And it's funny, like I have to stop myself from going in because apparently there's like 2 more books. Are they out already? So like,
is there?
Yeah, I think all 3 books are out.
I think it differs from the
I
books
think there's
quite
3
a
books.
bit, though.
Yeah, I read
a different story.
I think the ending is actually quite different.
Okay.
And I think he kind of said he adapted the book based off of his memory of the book. He only read it once, and he kind of wanted it to be a loose adaptation of like what he remembered from it, which is kind of an interesting approach to doing a movie.
Okay. Well,
I should start paying attention more to what directors say.
It's worth.
I looked up a few things for this.
Oh wow! Mitty just said in chat that all 3 books were released in 2014. He was going for a Netflix style release.
Binge reading. That's an interesting approach.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. Hey, someone should send that to George R.R. Martin.
Yeah,
exactly. I was gonna say
We're never getting those books.
Yeah. Thankfully, I never read them. I only watched the show. I can't imagine what that's.
I stopped watching the show because I didn't want the books to get spoiled by the show.
Oh.
I'm still waiting on books.
Well, I wish you all the luck in the world, sir. But yeah, you're not getting those books.
No.
Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add before we wrap it up?
Go see it.
Like, if you haven't seen it, see it. It's just, even if it's not your style and you're more of an action junkie, because that's really what I go for. I like more action movies. I am your generic mainstream audience when it comes to films, but this is worth a shot. Go give it a go.
Justin, anything else?
Yeah, see it, and if you can see it in theaters before it's gone, which it probably won't be around for very long. I recommend it for that last like 20 minutes, like with the way the audio syncs with the visuals and everything. It's a really, really nice theater experience.
And it's not in 3D, which is great.
Yeah, but I feel kind of bad that so many people are going to have to watch it on Netflix for that reason. But if you have a good sound system, crank it.
If you're going to watch this on Netflix, please don't watch it on your phone. Try not to watch it on your computer. Watch it on a TV with some decent sound.
Yeah, hopefully by the time you see it, you have a 4K TV or something, and there's streaming options. I don't know. But see it.
Well, before we wrap up, I want to do one more segment. this will be our recommendations portion of the show. So basically, each of us is just gonna pitch either a film or show that we've seen, and just make a recommendation. So I watched about a week ago a movie called Lion from 2016. That's about a young child from India that kind of loses his family, gets adopted by an Australian family, and then begins a search to try and find them with the aid of technology, because things come so far in the last 20 years or whatever. So you can use Google Earth and stuff like that to actually try, because he can't remember the name of the town he was from, even different languages, and now he speaks English. And it's just a really powerful movie. It's Dev Patel, who was in Slumdog Millionaire as well. And sorry, I can't remember the director off the top of my head, but that's a emotional, powerful, and very relevant movie, especially when we talk about all the immigration policies and stuff in the world right now. It's a very good case of the life that you can give someone that may not have one otherwise. Justin, did you have anything you've seen recently you want to pimp out?
Actually, another. I think I talked to you about this a little bit after the last episode. The Ritual on Netflix it's a Netflix original movie. It's very cool. Like, the first half of it kind of seems like standard like Blair Witch-esque Lost in the Woods horror movie, but it really builds in the last half, and it has some really, really cool creature design, which I recommend you do not look up before you see the movie, because those reveals are really cool moments. I'm big on monster design and stuff in movies, so that was something that really appealed to me. But yeah, like, keep going, because the first half isn't great, but the second half is really, really neat.
Matthew Finneman.
Yes. I'm going to go a different route. You guys dropped some fine cinematic examples. I'm going to go to the TV, because it's the show I just got into, and I find it absolutely just endearing. It's the new comedy AP Bio with Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny and Patton Oswalt.
Oh, okay. I like.
I've been wanting to check it out.
It's if I had, I try and find one comedy show per year, per season, that I then recommend as my favorite of that year. Like last year was going to be What She's Going to Say, so I won't say it. And it's like Brooklyn Nine-Nine was its standout that year and stuff like that. But AP Bio, it's only 5 episodes in, but it is hilarious in its depiction of a completely irredeemable character that you still want to root for. And the cast of kids that they got are all unknowns, so you're not distracted by like, oh, where do I know them from? But they all play awkward AP Bio students, pitch perfect, and it's multiple times per episode I audibly laughed out loud. It wasn't like I typed LOL and it was really just a smirk. I actually guffawed at one point.
And I'm gonna pitch The Good Place.
Because it's real good.
It's real good.
I hear about that show all the
haven't
time.
seen it yet, Jeff?
You
No.
need to just take the time and binge watch the first 2 seasons and pray to God that we're going to get a third, because
Is it up in the air?
the initial premise, it's you're like, is it fine? And then they just pivot and hit you with plot twists, and you're like, oh my God, everything they're doing is making the show infinitely better. And Kristen Bell is, of course, delightful, and then like every single cast member, known or unknown, delightful. Even though they make a crap ton of Florida jokes, and I feel personally attacked at every
to sell you on it, Jeff, it's a very short show. 13 episode seasons, 20 episodes, 20 minutes each. You can knock it out real quick.
Okay, I mean that's the way I do work with shows is I always have something heavy on the go, and then I need something light to kind of.
Well, there you go.
So okay,
it's great. It's that kind of show that ends each episode with that cliffhanger that makes you go like, all right, I think I can justify just one more before bed, and then you're done.
Perfect.
Yeah, Good Place is on my list next after we finish barreling through several of the Netflix Marvel shows, because we got behind and we got to catch up for Jessica Jones season 2.
Oh man, my TV list is just out of control. I just watched Frasier like last year, so I'm.
Oh, cool. We just finished Iron Fist, so
sorry,
you poor bastard.
Yeah, it took us a while to get through.
That one hurts because Iron Fist is my favorite Marvel character, and that was the one I was most excited about when they first even announced the Netflix shows. They were like, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist. I was like, Iron Fist!
And somehow the show about the martial artist gets the worst choreography of all of them.
And just yells at people that he is Iron Fist at all times.
Who is he?
And
Okay.
and Colleen is way cooler than
Yes!
Iron Fist ever is.
Anyway, I'm out.
All right, well, thanks, guys, for being on the show. Thank you, anyone who watched or listened to this. You should catch Annihilation in theaters if you can. If not, as soon as it hits Netflix, you should do that. Let us know what you think. You can catch us live on twitch.tv/official SDGC whenever we are live. Like I said, this will be maybe a monthly show. We'll tweet out beforehand, give you guys a little bit of notice before we're going to have another episode. Give you a chance to watch or see the movie, whatever we're going to be talking about. As always, Justin is my co-host, and we've got a kind of rotating third chair. Matt and Caitlin, we'd be happy to have you guys on again anytime. Saki cameo, we'll see. We got to ease into the... Oh, no. I've unleashed Saki. Hello, Saki. All right. We'll call it a night there. Thanks for listening, guys, and have a good night.
All right, bye, guys.
Did your husband contact you at any point while he was away?
No. It was his decision to go in. Why did my husband volunteer for a suicide mission? You have to tell me where he was, what he was doing.